and he's sacked by Khalil Mack. My favorite call. Too bad that's from his Raiders days and not his Bears days, but still love him. He's an absolutely tremendous player. And today we're talking about the Chicago Bears. Are you excited? I'm really excited to talk about the Chicago Bears.
I am very excited about the Bears. They drafted my favorite quarterback in this draft, so
Yeah,
very, very excited.
I gotta say, in terms of Justin Fields, the only thing that I really can say about him is that since the draft, like, even, like, right before the draft, I've only gotten, like, more excited about him. Like, completely. Nothing has made me, like, upset with him at all. Just me, like, feeling more and more like he's gonna be a really successful NFL player.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
I lead today?
Yeah. Have at it.
Alrighty. So, like I said to you already, I've got a lot of notes for them last season, so I'll try to hit on all of them really quickly, okay? So the first thing I have to say is that I love the number 1 and number 2 wide receivers. The running backs are also like the perfect complement to each other in Montgomery and Cohen. Cohen got injured early in the season last year, so I'm interested to see how he comes back, but they also added more running back talent in the draft and free agency. The defense plays incredibly well together. I love guys like Khalil Mack, Eddie Jackson, and Roquan Smith. I would have added Kyle Fuller to that list, but, you know. Allen Robinson is an awesome player, making awesome catches over defenders. Honestly, some of the catches he makes are insane, and just thinking about him compared to, you know, my favorite guy to call back to, Devontae Adams, just Robinson, like, actually really talented, like, hands, jumping ability, able to make a spectacular, crazy, contested catch type thing. Yeah. The run game will also probably improve if the defense is scared of the pass this season, which is exciting because I feel like you kind of knew these guys were going to run it a decent amount against you, and with not too much of a threat in the passing game, that definitely hurts you. Also, this was insane. I can't believe I didn't see this on, like, any sort of highlight reel at all. The Bears have, like, a huge 4th and 1 play early in the season that they need to convert, and they throw the ball, it's deflected up into the air and caught by a lineman for a first down, and I can't believe I didn't see that until I watched this back. That was an awesome play. This defense is really good. It doesn't take a genius to realize that. The only reason they even allowed points last season is because Buster Skrine was on the team. So just thought I would point that out. That's 100% truthful. I'm not being sarcastic at all. That really is the truth. Darnell Mooney's routes are slick. Allen Robinson getting wide open 2 plays in a row just to have atrocious passes thrown his way is, like, basically perfectly describing how this team has been the past few years, honestly. I love Cordero Patterson. I've wanted him on my team since he came into the league, and he's never done anything amazing, but, like, I love him as a player for what he brings to the table, and it's too bad that they lost him, because honestly, if I was a Bears fan, I would have wanted to keep him. I also think Anthony Miller can be a solid number 3 wide receiver for him next season. If this team can beat the Buccaneers with a terrible quarterback, they've got a chance with Fields. I'm very excited. Jimmy Graham's career is, like, the weirdest career ever. I mean, just think about it for a second. You just go through, like, how it started and then where it's been since then with, like, the really high point and then, like, kind of tapering off, but, like, still every once in a while just good for a one-handed end zone touchdown reception for no reason. Once again, Khalil Mack in that Bucs game, amazing stuff. Cole Kmet being good would make this team insane next season. Tight end's kind of a question mark going into next season, but if he develops, this team's really on looking good for next season. I like Darnell Mooney even more because I can tell by game situation and his reactions that he cares more about winning than individual success. They were down like 10 points with like 3 minutes to go in a game, and sometimes you see wide receivers score a touchdown there, which means that they'll still be down 3 and be like super excited about their individual success. he scored a touchdown and was just like, I'm not really happy because we're still losing. Like, minor celebrations, like high fives with teammates, but he wasn't showing off. And I mean, I think that shows a lot more about a player than what their words say. Actions obviously speak louder than words. I know this isn't the Saints video, but I watched their Saints game, and they just need to free Deontay Harris, honestly. Tashaun Gibson is a very solid player, too. I felt the need to mention him. He plays well for them in the secondary. Then, I mean, sometimes weird stuff happens, though. Like, they were playing man coverage, and they had a linebacker manned up on a receiver against the Texans. I don't like to see that. Your defense is really good. I mean, at least put them in a position to be successful. If you do that, it makes them look worse than they are. You got a good defense. Make sure they look good. Also, Matt Nagy, he came up with a quad set with an ISO tight end on the other side so that he would have an easy matchup inside the red zone to go for a touchdown. I think Matt Nagy's a really underrated coach, and geez, if he had a quarterback to kind of just be competent. I would say, I said terrible earlier when I talked about their quarterback play. Maybe I shouldn't have done that because I don't think it was truly terrible, but it's definitely like below competent in my from my perspective, and that's not a situation that you want to be in. If he got some solid quarterback play this season, I think people are going to realize that he's a lot better of a coach than we give him credit for. I just want to root for both of these receivers because I already talked about with Mooney being like about the team and not being too selfish. But I mean, you got to talk about the exact same thing with Allen Robinson. He went from Jacksonville to Chicago. He really was not like, oh geez, I really need a big quarterback or anything like that. And just watching him play the way he plays, I just really enjoy him. And I feel like Fields is finally going to get these two guys what they deserve, even though Mooney's only been in the league for a year. I just like both of the guys, and I want them to succeed. And I also want Justin Fields to succeed. So I'm really rooting for this team a lot.
Mm-hmm. What I had for them, just watching Mitch Trubisky play in some of the games, not that it matters now because he's not on the team, but I do agree. Matt Nagy's play calling is insane some of the time. Some of the play calls he comes up with are like, wow, that's really interesting and kind of innovative. But the way he went about the quarterback situation and just bringing some instability there didn't put the team in a great position to succeed. I mean, they made it into the playoffs, so, I mean, it worked out in the end. But I don't know. I can't really agree with how that situation went about, but Mitch Trubisky won the MVP, so really, was it that bad of a season?
I agree with you. I probably would have left Foles in there. Seriously. Okay. Seriously, I probably would have left Foles in there. Like, from just going back and looking at the games, how Foles was playing in games versus how Trubisky was playing, I think Foles was playing better. But, I mean, I didn't go back and watch every game. I watched 4 games. Like, we watched 4 games back to check them out, and that's how I remember it, though. I don't remember the games that really got Foles knocked out, or if he got hurt, or what even happened. I just know that at some point they went back to Trubisky, and I thought I would have stuck with Foles.
They won more games with Trubisky. Just seeing that, I know that doesn't mean anything because one of the games that they won with Trubisky was a blowout against Jacksonville. And really, I mean, any quarterback could do that except Phillip Rivers. Not having Tariq Cohen hurt their run game, but not a lot because David Montgomery just is an animal, and he did what needed to be done, and having Cordell Patterson in the backfield too gave them that speed that they needed, but bringing him back, especially with the other playmakers that they have now in that running back room, is going to be nice. I don't know what's up with the NFC North and having a wide receiver that just gets schemed open and being deemed the best wide receiver in the NFL, and then you had 2 other guys that are just so overlooked and underrated, and Kenny Golladay and Allen Robinson, that just make highlight plays, go up and get it with like guys draped all over them, and it's just Did you see Davante Adams run sideline to sideline and make that catch after tiring out the corner?
Could you imagine if literally you could take Mooney, you could take Allen Robinson, you could take Kenny Golladay, you could take Marvin Jones, Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, like six guys you could take and put any of those six, so the top two receivers from all three other NFC North teams last season, and put those guys on the Packers. And if they got targeted as much as Davante Adams did, they probably all would be better than Davante Adams.
Yeah. It's just insane that having Aaron Rodgers throw passes to you and having a coach scheme you open in the red zone to inflate your touchdown numbers just does numbers for you with the media. It's insane.
It's wild. I can't wait to do the Packers videos so the Packers fans can hear us say this crap.
It's gonna be a fun day reading those comments. I watched the Bears run a fake punt with Barkevious Mingo. That's just fun. He got 11 rushing yards on that play. Got on the first down. I mean, I like fun plays. I like seeing that, and that was a fun surprise. I didn't know that happened. I'm usually up to date with all my Barkevious Mingo news, and I didn't know that he was involved in a fake punt last season.
I didn't know that either. Did you know about the 4th and 1?
No, I didn't know about that.
No. Missed out on a lot of fun Bears stuff last season.
Yeah, jeez. Why didn't I know more about this 8-8 playoff team? Their defense.
Sorry.
No, I got more. Their defense is stout as always. I mean, if you had someone that's never watched football before, they'd be able to tell you that the Bears have a good defense. It's just very, very obvious. Cordell Patterson is just a monster on kickoffs. I mean, losing him is a real big hit. But they, did something in the draft to try to replace him. Roquan Smith really popped off on the games that I was watching. I know that he has been productive throughout his first 3 years in the league, but just last season really did something for me. I'm like, wow, okay, he is actually a really good linebacker and like up there in almost elite kind of tier, which I'd expect a linebacker on the Bears to be. And they found their answer at kicker. That's my last.
Yeah,
they found their kicker.
I totally agree with that. That's in my stats section, but yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Mm-hmm. So I'll move into the stats I want to cover. David Montgomery eats up all the run game, but let's get Tariq Cohen healthy, just so that we can really have kind of a number 2 guy. But like I said, then I wrote this and then I remembered who they added, so it's kind of in between there. I just want more than one guy available at the running back position. That's what I'm trying to say here. But even though they knew Montgomery was getting the ball on early downs and stuff like that, or at least I feel like I would have been playing towards the run on the defensive side. I know they threw the ball a fairly decent amount, even though we didn't love their quarterback situation. He averaged 4.3 yards per carry, which is great. He had 1,000 yards rushing and 10 total touchdowns. That's awesome. Allen Robinson had 100-plus catches, 1,250 yards, 6 touchdowns. Great year, honestly. And decent receiving production from many other guys, too. Just a testament to Nagy. Return game will need to be led by someone new, obviously, since Patterson's gone. Once again, Cairo Santos, really good. Jaylon Johnson, 15 passes defended. That's awesome. I didn't realize he did that well. He did really well. He was a guy coming out last year. I feel like I kind of questioned a little bit, but not too much. I felt like he was picked in the right spot, and he did well. He had a better rookie year than I expected, I guess. Eddie Jackson, Khalil Mack, and Robert Quinn all had 3 forced fumbles. Honestly, I forgot Robert Quinn was on the team. 9 sacks for Khalil Mack, 139 tackles for Roquan Smith, 18 tackles for loss for Roquan Smith at the middle linebacker position. That's really impressive. Also 11 tackles for loss for Khalil Mack. And I'm just mentioning that Akeem Hicks had 7 tackles for loss. He didn't play all 16 games. He played 15 games. But just for the guy that he is, just a little more production in that area. Maybe 10 tackles for loss, because he's a name we know. We expect a lot out of him. We want to see him get a little bit more production there.
Yeah, you covered mostly everything for stats for me. Just the one thing I had, for how great their defense is, just not a lot of interceptions, but that's not really anything to complain about because they're getting to the quarterback often, and it's hard to get interceptions when you're bringing the quarterback down.
Yeah. Um, then in terms of acquisitions, the first guy, the actually the acquisitions and the losses lists aren't too long, which are nice because it kind of actually makes it easier so that we can talk about like each guy on an individual
Mm-hmm.
basis a little more. Um, so first guy to talk about is Desmond Trufant. I don't know why this kind of went under the radar, at least in my own head. Maybe not for other people, but I like this signing here just because when they lost Kyle Fuller, my initial reaction, because I kind of forgot about Desmond Trufant immediately, was like, geez, really? Because I knew they had Jalen Johnson on the other side, but I was like, what are they gonna do here? So actually, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm happy they didn't just go into this without a plan. So that's good from my perspective. Damian Williams, then, my favorite guy, otherwise known as the Playmaker. Um, can't really tell you why I gave him that nickname, but I like him. He's like perfect for this offense though, because of the fact that we have Montgomery, who's more of like I'd call him like more of a power guy. He doesn't seem to have too much explosion in the speed department. Meanwhile, Cohen is the complete opposite. Tall or small, sorry, and like quick and fast, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
basically complete opposites. Damian Williams is kind of like the first guy they've had in here in a while that's in between. So it's kind of like you got your power, you got like I don't know, somewhere in between. I don't even know how to describe that balanced approach for Damian Williams, and then you've got your speed receiving guy with Cohen. I think it's a nice mix there. And then they got two receivers that I want to mention, Damiere Byrd and Marquise Goodwin. I mean, Damiere Bird's kind of questionable. He's just a name, really, at this point. And with the guys on the receiving core, he may not even make the roster, just thinking about it. Marquise Goodwin, though, he's important because he really gives them a guy that's like just straight speed, whereas I don't know if anyone else does. I mean, there's guys that can go deep in this offense, like Darnell Mooney or Anthony Miller. I mean, I feel like those guys can go deep, but neither of them are just guys that I think of as pure speed threats. Goodwin is. And last guy in terms of acquisitions that I want to mention, of course, is Andy Dalton, just because he's more than likely going to start some games for them this year.
Mm-hmm. Uh, Two other guys that I just had down here. You got all the names, but just two extra guys. Elijah Wilkinson is a tackle that they picked up. He doesn't seem like he's going to start for them. Especially with how their draft went, I'd assume they'd want the rookies in there, but maybe he gets the nod to start there. And Jeremiah Tachu, I liked what I saw from him when we went over the Broncos, and just adding him to their defense is just that they find a way to get no name guys that produce well onto that defense, and even big name guys like Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn. So
Yeah,
I was very surprised when I saw his name there on their acquisitions.
yeah. Um, and then for losses, Charles Leno, they did really well in taking the guys that they lost. Unlike other teams, sometimes we'd see other teams that just would like have losses and not fill them back in. Either in
Mm-hmm.
free agency or the draft, they basically filled in all the guys I want to talk about for losses. So Charles Leno, they lose him. Kyle Fuller, lost him. Mitch Trubisky, lost him. Cordell Patterson, and last guy that I mentioned, just in a little short blurb about him, Buster Screen, unsigned? Are you kidding? He shouldn't have had a job the past 6 seasons. Why are we barring him from employment now? I love him as a meme. So I'm sad he's not on a team because who am I going to complain about?
Yeah, what team am I going to watch on Sundays to just go up? That wide receiver caught it right over Buster Screen. Oh,
No, not
Buster
over
Screen
Buster
again.
Screen. Buster Screen has never been that close in coverage in his life. He's got at least 15 yards of separation.
Zoom that out for me real quick. Who's 15 yards away? Ah, there he is.
Yeah. Anyone
Yeah.
else you got for losses?
Uh, Bobby Macy is their other tackle.
Okay.
That was released. Barkevius Mingo, who's going to run fake punts for them now. He's gone.
Yeah, that's a
Uh,
mess.
yeah. And yeah, Buster Screen. I also wrote him down just for the meme's sake.
Yeah, no, but what I like here is they got a tackle in the draft I really like. So that's my replacement one. They got a corner to replace their corner. They got two quarterbacks, both of which I think are actually upgrades from Trubisky, to be honestly. They got a running back in the draft and in free agency to replace Cordell Patterson, and receivers if you want to count him as a receiver. But yeah, the one thing that I'll say here is that they didn't really get a replacement for him in the return game. So that's maybe the one spot that I have to say they may have kind of missed on. But one of these guys in the draft may be able to do that. So I'll get into the draft now. Justin Fields. This is probably the longest thing I've wrote for one individual player, honestly. So hold your breath. He's the guy I'm most excited to watch this season. Like in the entire league, I'm not even kidding. He's the guy I'm most excited to watch. It seemed like prior to the draft, he was getting so much crap for no reason, and it was so stupid to me. It bothered me so much, because I just remember the stuff. It was after we had actually talked about the quarterbacks, and he was my number two quarterback. I can't remember. He wasn't actually your number one, but he was the guy you were most excited about, and I completely agree with you. Like, I think that he should be the guy most excited about, or maybe, I'm sorry, if I'm misrepresenting you, just tell me I am. But I'm most excited to watch him as a QB prospect, because my number one guy is Mac Jones, and obviously, that's not as much of an exciting player. So, yeah. I cannot wait for him to win Offensive Rookie of the Year as long as they don't leave Andy Dalton in there too long, and make these guys scary in the NFC. Also, if what I've heard is true, he's a genius, which I'm not really surprised by, just because like the way he handles himself like really makes him seem smart, and I think he has the perfect level-headed demeanor. I honestly believe that these last two QBs taken, him and Mac Jones, in the first round, will make the Jets, 49ers, and Jags look pretty dumb for at least 2 years. Because I think these two guys will be able to come in and have like immediate success. Whereas I don't see the Jets, Niners, or Jags QBs at least being able to have success for a little while, or at least not as much success as the other guys. Um, Tevin Jenkins, here, all these other guys, though, a lot quicker notes. So sorry about that. Tevin Jenkins, I've never had more fun watching a lineman. I mean, he's absolutely tremendous. He's an awesome tackle prospect. And really, he should have gone in the first round, in my opinion. Like, no doubt. I don't know why he didn't. Larry, and then they jump from first, second round all the way to fifth round, right? So that's kind of weird, but whatever, because they got some amazing value here. Larry Borom, interior OL boost. That's cool with me. I'm not going to complain about late round offensive lineman. Khalil Herbert, balanced running back. Not too impressed. So that pick I didn't love, especially because I feel like now you have three running backs, and I feel like he's not going to overtake any of them. So he's RB4, which makes this pretty interesting. Now here are two picks I really like. Daz Newsome. I thought he had more skills than most of the speed guys out there, and a lot of those guys ended up going in the second round. I love this guy as a sixth round pick. This is a steal. And Thomas Graham Jr., he's the guy that I was complaining to you about the other day, because I was thinking of him as, what's his face? Javon Holland. I was mixing them up. But the only thing I didn't like is that he didn't force more turnovers, but everything else was good. Another huge hit in the sixth round. Like, his actual talent, he looks really good. And I think those picks are awesome. Those picks could really help this team. I mean, if Desmond Trufant doesn't play well, this guy may actually be able to step in. I was really impressed with what he did. And lastly, Kiris, I guess, Tonga. He feels like the kid who never bothered to learn any technique ever because he was always bigger than everybody. If they coach him up, I'd love to see what he can do. And I'm sorry, I actually just realized that I forgot to do undrafted free agents. So if I missed any of those guys that are going to be huge, I'm really sorry, Bears fans.
Yeah, Justin Fields was my number one quarterback going into the draft. I think he displayed the most athleticism and the most raw talent out of a lot of the guys. there, and it's insane because you and I both agreed that it's insane that Trevor Lawrence is just this touted as this generational talent when it's like we're watching tape and it's like, yeah, he's making plays, but like, okay,
Yeah.
it just nothing's there. And you got Justin Fields running downfield, blocking for his running back like 80 yards downfield right on the goal line. That's what you want from your quarterback. That's what you want from your
Yeah.
quarterback.
We got the generational talent at QB that's making comments like basically implying like, oh, I don't really care about football. And then we got the kid who went 11th overall that just got pushed back for having epilepsy, which how is that going to affect his football play? I don't know. That was one of the things that I was talking about earlier that ticked me off. And yet, the number 1 overall pick isn't sure that he's interested in football, and this guy is literally doing what you just described in blocking 80 yards down the field on run plays. He loves football. How can you not love him as a prospect?
Yeah, it's insane to see comments like, "Oh, he has low work ethic. He last man in, first man out." Dude wanted another pro day. He had 2 pro days because he wanted to show off his talents more. And you, again, just watching him on tape, there is no way you can watch him play and say, this guy doesn't care about football. When he's throwing blocks for guys, if they're running an option, he'll be the first one to go out there and throw a block. I just don't get that point, and that's just BS. That's someone made that up.
And if you want to take one throw from each of these quarterbacks and say, okay, let's rank these quarterbacks based on one throw alone, I don't even think it's close. The Justin Fields post route in the college football playoff this past year is one of the best balls like I've seen thrown in football, period, end of discussion. Like, not even, just all time. That's one of the best balls I've ever seen thrown.
Yeah, he is such a great talent, and I cannot wait for him to get in like week 3 or whenever they decide to finally start him, whenever they realize, ooh, we paid Andy Dalton a lot of money to hold a clipboard.
Yeah, they did.
In the second round, I cannot believe Tevin Jenkins fell to the second round. The dude is insane. He should have been the second offensive lineman off the board.
3.
Yeah, okay. After Slater?
Yeah.
Yeah. He just is so quick. He's kind of like Slater. He's going to be like a modern defensive end stopper of just guys that want to run around the edge. Got to have a quick first step for that, and he has that. So spent their first 2 early picks awesomely, and then again this jump to the 5th round, which really boring to like no 3rd or 4th round picks, but again the value that they got here in the 5th, 6th, 7th is insane. Larry Borum, it's funny that you and I talked at decent length about Tevin Jenkins, but any other offensive lineman that's not named Penei Sewell or Rashawn Slater, we're just like, yeah, it's good depth for him, which that's what Larry Borum is. He might be able to start. Khalil Herbert, he was my number 9 running back. He's really funny. I mean, he's going to be RB4 for them. At least that's what it seems like. You're a rookie, you're automatically designated there. Just reminded me a lot of Doug Martin watching him play. I mean, he just looks for contact. Like, he is not going to run out of bounds on a play. He is going to put the crown of his helmet into your chest and try to run you over and say, okay, take me down. If you want me to not score, take me down. And I like that about him. I don't know. He's not going to replace David Montgomery, but I don't know what the Bears are going to do with him. Hopefully he gets a touch. I really like watching him play. Daz Newsome is like Khalil Herbert, but he plays wide receiver. He seeks contact. He doesn't go out of bounds. He wants to run into guys before he gets pushed out, which is awesome. He had some highlights at returner, so he might take over that role, which we need to bring the power returner back to the NFL. Just a guy that's not trying to run past anyone, just trying to run through the 11 other guys that are coming downfield to tackle him.
I agree.
Thomas Graham, the one word, I had more than one word for him when I first watched him. He was my number 15 corner. but I just had smooth in all capitals because he just looks so smooth with his technique. Everything he does, he transitions well between guys, and when he's in his zone, he doesn't look jumpy or anything. Uh, yeah, he looks like he could start from day one for that team, which he probably won't. But if Desmond Trufant or the other guy,
Nah, Jalen ain't
Jalon,
coming out.
yeah,
Jalen
he's
ain't
not
coming
coming
out.
out. But if he gets hurt,
If he gets hurt. But if it really, like, if we're not saying injury, it's just if Trufant's playing poorly, because I don't
yeah,
think Johnson's coming out no matter what.
yeah, Graham looks like a great late round pickup, and then Kyrus Tonga is the same thing that you said, just a big boy that his coaches were like, you're stronger than everyone else, so we don't really need to teach you anything. And then he made it all the way to college, and they're still like, you're still stronger because you're playing at BYU, so just keep doing what you're doing. And now he's going to be in the NFL, and I want him to succeed, but I cannot wait for his welcome to the NFL moment if he gets it. Just a guy shoving him right on the ground because it's like, hey, dude, you are not the strongest one here anymore.
Yeah, yeah, no, I know what you mean. So 2 notes for the schedule here with our predictions. I'm gonna give you the over under as I always do. You didn't look it up, did you?
No,
Take a guess. Not tell me what your record prediction is. Take a guess what you think the over under is for this team, because I couldn't believe it.
7.5.
Yeah, you're right on. I'm shocked that you knew that. But okay, maybe I'm completely misinterpreting it. But I mean, you're probably gonna tell me that I'm an idiot after I tell you what I'm about to. And then I want you to tell me what week you think Justin Fields will get his first start in. Okay.
Okay.
So I've got mine in here, but if you need to figure it out, try to figure it out while I'm going
Oh
through
no,
the
I
games.
already know. I have it written down in mine too.
Okay, cool. Okay, so the only reason I'm not saying week 1 is because they told Andy Dalton that he would get to start games, like at least be the starting quarterback at the start of the season. So that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting them to keep their word. Okay. So first game of the season is Sunday Night Football at the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams were supposed to open the stadium last year on Sunday Night Football, and since there were no fans there, they're giving it to them again this year. This time they're playing Chicago, though, and I don't think Andy Dalton's going to be able to come out and beat that Rams team that is very good. That really, these are both, in my opinion, 2 really good teams. I just think you're going to go with the better quarterback in this option, and I think Matt Stafford is the better quarterback for the time being. I don't think that ends it for him. I think he gets the next week guaranteed, and they go and play the Cincinnati Bengals. I think if you look at the overall rosters of each of these teams, the Chicago Bears roster is significantly better, so they get a dub against Cincinnati. But then they go to Cleveland the next week, and Cleveland, the entire team is loaded, and Cleveland's going to be an interesting team to talk about when we get to them. But once again, I'm not necessarily picking quarterback here. I like Baker, but I don't know if I'd give him as much of an advantage over Dalton as I'd give Stafford an advantage over Dalton. I just think that the team maybe feels kind of a little funny, and I still do think it's Andy Dalton holding the offense back that will make it so they drop this game to the Browns too. So even though it's only been 3 weeks, I think starting out 1-2, and I think Fields will probably be looking good in practice. I think week 4 is the first time we could see Fields, and I just say I hope Fields can get the job after this predicted loss, but maybe earlier. But predicting when he will play is harder to predict than wins and losses, honestly. Like, I'd feel more confident in predicting wins and losses than I do actually predicting when he plays. But I'm trying to get these games right, so I'm going to guess that week 4 will be his first start, okay? So then it's versus Detroit. This is a lucky game to pull in as your first start. I like this. Detroit's not a team that I'm in love with at all. They're kind of building a new culture there, and I think that may take some time to develop. So I think that's a W for them there. Then they go and play at Las Vegas. I also think that Vegas is a team that's, kind of kind of reorganizing itself, even though they haven't like cleared anybody out of the front office or the head coaching spot. I mean, geez, they cleared out a lot of their roster, and I think there's a lot of question marks. I think the Bears are still a more talented team there, so I think that's a W as well. So Fields gets 2 wins in his first 2 games. I feel like his confidence could be riding high, and that's a good thing. Then the next game versus Green Bay, still question marks with Aaron Rodgers, what's going on there. But right now, I'll tell you this. I'm going to split these games between the Packers just to play it safe, since I don't know what's going to go on with Aaron Rodgers. But if Aaron Rodgers is not playing for that team, I'm 100% picking the Bears in both those games. But this first game will be the W. The second one will be the L. The second game occurs December 12th. And this game is October 17th. Then the following week, they play at Tampa Bay. And I think that Tampa Bay, this will be the first game where Fields really is challenged, especially if Aaron Rodgers doesn't play the week before. This will be a really tough test for him. And I think it'll be really interesting to see how he plays, and it'll be interesting to see if he can hang with big-time competition. And I think they lose, but it may be closer than people expect. The following week versus San Francisco, they got San Francisco at home. This is where you're going to start to be like, are you kidding me? I think they're going to beat San Francisco at home, because I think that coming off Tampa Bay, I think they're going to be able to put the final touches together to really realize how to utilize Fields' potential to the maximum. And they're the home team here. That's a great advantage for them, because of the fact that I feel like these two teams are actually pretty even. And honestly, in terms of like positions I'm doubtful about, the Bears have less holes than I think the Niners do. I'm really confident in the Niners as a team, but I actually would say they have more holes than the Bears do, because really the only spot on the Bears team that I'm terribly worried about, which I already mentioned, is kind of their tight end position. Which isn't a terribly important position in the NFL, but of course you've got George Kittle on the opposite side, so that'll be an interesting game to watch. Then they play Pittsburgh at Pittsburgh, Monday Night Football. Not excited about Pittsburgh. I'm giving the W to Chicago. I think the team's better. Then Baltimore. Also, kind of luck of the draw here. And I actually think that Chicago will be able to play a more balanced game than Baltimore. And that's why I think the Bears, not only getting lucky drawing a tough game at home here, but also getting lucky in the fact that they have a team that'll be able to throw and run the ball, whereas it feels like the Ravens are going to be a team that is probably more leaning towards the run. That may give them an advantage in the fact that the teams actually are on a fairly even talent field. So they get the advantage there, and I'm going to give them a win there. Then they play Detroit on Thanksgiving. Still think they're a much better team than Detroit. That's a W. Arizona, I think they're a much better roster than Arizona. That's a W. Then this is the second Green Bay game. L, just in case Aaron Rodgers is on the team. Then we get later in the season. Maybe I'll admit I probably should have thought about these Minnesota games more, because they got too late in the season. But I'm just really on this Bears hype train right now. And first games versus Minnesota, that could be a W. Or I think that will be a W. Then they play Seattle the following week at Seattle. I think that's a W. I think their team's better than Seattle's. And then January 2nd versus the Giants, that's week 17. I also think that's a W. I think their team's just better. And then last week, week 18, I gave them the W here against Minnesota, again at Minnesota. But really, they may not even be playing for anything at that point. But they could be. And that one maybe is closer to a toss-up, but one game is a toss-up I didn't really want to do. And I think I like them slightly more than Minnesota. So I'm just going insane here, and I'm saying they're going 13-4, which is like the most which is definitely like the most far off we've gotten from a like actual over under. I feel like that's got to be the furthest we've strayed away from it so far. And I realize my prediction may be ridiculous, especially considering how the question mark falls squarely on the QB situation. But I want to give this team a lot of wins just to show how high on them I am. And if they play the right players, I probably gave them one or two too many wins. But I guarantee they will win games against some of the best in the league that they aren't supposed to, and people aren't expecting them to win. I can guarantee that right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you on that. Let me go through mine. I thought I was the conductor of the Bears hype train, but apparently you beat me out for that. So, let me run through my prediction for them. At the Rams, week 1, I think I completely agree with you that they aren't going to lie to Andy Dalton. They're going to let him start games, to start the season off. And against the Rams in prime time at LA, that's going to be an L. Just Andy Dalton and Matt Stafford are just two completely different quarterbacks. Like, the Rams and the Bears are not two completely different teams if Justin Fields is in at quarterback. But having Andy Dalton there holds that team back from being on the same level. Granted, the Rams are stacked, according to Robert Woods. But Andy Dalton being there kind of just knocks over the stacked pile for them. Week 2, home against Cincy. I think Andy Dalton's still starting here. He gets his revenge against the Bengals, gets that dub. Not that it's really revenge or anything. I don't think there's any hard feelings between the two, but, the Red Rifle takes on his former team and beats them. Week 3 at Cleveland. I would like to say Justin Fields starts here, but I don't think the Bears are that stupid to squander a quarterback like they did with their last one that they drafted and say, okay, your first start, it's going to be against one of the top defenses in the NFL in the Browns and just one of the top teams. And
to your point, you also can't pull your starter until you have to switch your starters on a loss. You can't switch your starter on a win. So
yeah. So Andy Dalton still starts that game at Cleveland, and he gets the loss. And then Justin Fields gets eased into the starter role here after Andy Dalton loses with an easy game home against Detroit. Get that easy win off, the first career start, first career win with confidence heading to Vegas. And you're going to get a win against Vegas too, because yikes, is that team rough. Looking at them previously, that team is rough. So, got the 2-win high, and then you're home against Green Bay. I think they split with Green Bay, but I don't think they traditionally split the way you go about splits, where you give them the home win, away loss. I think they lose this one at home, just because it's early. It's Justin Fields' third start. I think he wins the one later in the season after acclimating himself more into the starter role. Even if Aaron Rodgers isn't there, I still think they lose this game, but they win the one later in the season. Then at Tampa Bay, I think that's going to be an L. Just Tampa Bay's defense is on par, if not better than the Bears' defense, and you can't pick someone at QB over Tom Brady, especially after winning a Super Bowl. So, they get an L there, and then they get their third consecutive L home against San Fran. I think I'm way too high on San Fran more than other people are. I have them winning or losing, I think, 1 or 2 games in our prediction video for them. I had them losing 1 or 2 games.
I think I had them right about where I have Chicago. I think I had them at 3-4 losses.
Yeah. So I'm fairly high on San Fran. I think they pull the win out here. But Justin Fields isn't, that's going to put a chip on his shoulder. 3 straight losses against some of the better quarterbacks in the league if Aaron Rodgers is still there. Going against Pittsburgh, future Hall of Famer Ben Roethlisberger, just beat him up, man. Just take him to town. You don't think Big Ben's going to go into the Hall of Fame? I know that he sucks now, but, I mean.
Yeah, he probably has to. Yeah.
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 So, that's going to be the storyline. Rookie against future Hall of Famer Ben Roethlisberger, and then they're just going to go to Pittsburgh and smoke him, because that team is also not looking too great. Not that we've done a real big deep dive into them yet, but just outside looking in right now, don't look like that solid of a team. Get their bye week after that win, and then they come out, play Baltimore. Baltimore, I think they're going to have their stuff together more than the Bears will, just still trying to get Justin Fields acclimated there. I don't think it's too outrageous for me to say that the Bears might lose this one, but this is one that I was iffy about, and I just gave it to the more established team in the Ravens. like I was going to just go, oh, the Bears are at home, give it to the Bears, but I was like, eh. So I gave him the L there against Baltimore, but then Justin Fields starts going on his rookie of the year, offensive rookie of the year campaign here. At Detroit, win. Home against the Cardinals, win. At Green Bay, win. Home against Minnesota, win. At Seattle, win. Home against the Giants, win. Yeah, I think they locked themselves in the playoffs after that win against the Giants. Probably have Andy Dalton in for this last game at Minnesota. I don't think they're playing for much here. I know that the record is going to be having them at a wild card team, but I think if Aaron Rodgers isn't on the Packers, the record that they have could win them the North.
Okay.
So I think have Andy Dalton in there, sitting Justin Fields at Minnesota. I think Minnesota gets the win there, and they finish 10-7.
Okay. What if they're playing? I know you're not. We were different on Minnesota too. But let's say Minnesota plays as well as I expect them to play.
Mm-hmm.
But Chicago plays as well as you expect them to play. If that game is to either go to the playoffs or that game is to win the division, who are you picking in that game? It's at Minnesota, remember.
Probably still picking the Bears just because of that defense.
Okay. That's what I figured you'd say. Just had to ask.
And also, I hate Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is terrible. Kirk Cousins is the worst. Justin Fields is the best quarterback in the NFC North. Kirk Cousins is terrible.
Hey, I mean, with what I'm expecting from Justin Fields, his competition is Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins, and potentially Jordan Love. If Aaron Rodgers is out of this division, don't be shocked if next season we are saying that Justin Fields is the best quarterback in the NFC North.
Yeah.
I mean, chances are no matter what, Aaron Rodgers may not be out this year, but I feel like it's almost a guarantee that he's not on the Packers in 2022. So, next season he may very well be the lead dog in the NFC North.
Yeah, 2022 NFC North power rankings. Justin Fields at 1, Kellen Mond 2.
Yeah, who are the Lions gonna draft first overall? That's a quarterback. The kid
Spencer
from North
Rattler.
Carolina. Kid from North Carolina.
Sam Howell.
Yeah, Howell 3, Jordan Love 4, because he still hasn't learned how to play football.
Yeah. Because the Packers got Matt Flynn out of retirement, so he can actually start over Justin Fields. So we had a 3-year plan for him, and Aaron's still not letting him develop.
Yeah, Matt Flynn is now playing for Jordan Love. What if Matt Flynn demanded 10 too? Jordan Love didn't even get to have his number. Oh, that'd be great. All right. Well, hopefully we made the Bears fans happy today, because I mean we both predicted the over, and I think we're both kind of saying strong over, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even you at 10 wins is still 2.5 above. That's pretty strong. So hopefully Bears fans don't get mad at us for being hopeful about them. But
yeah,
whatever.
We might not be called idiots. So,
yay. Okay. All set.
Yeah, I think we can cut this here.